Hello guys, I'm Dipali Chandel and I welcome you all over here in the part 3 of word embedding techniques. In the last tutorial we covered till frequency based word embedding techniques. In this we are starting with the prediction based word embedding techniques. So basically what is prediction based word embedding? In prediction based word embedding, models are trained on historical text data so that model can understand the representation of words and their context and their placement and their meanings. So when the new data comes, then this model will able to give us the numerical values of the n-dimensional vector of the word, which will contain the coordinates of the word in the vector space on the basis of its understanding of the context and its meaning. So these kind of models are more useful in real world scenarios as compared to the frequency based word embedding techniques. Prediction based models are normally word to vec model, and there are several types of prediction based models. Most famous are COBAO model, skipgram model, and BERT. BERT is based on attention mechanism. Now the question arises, why we need word to vec model? Because all the frequency based word embedding techniques like count vectorizer and TF-IDF vectorizer do not preserve the relationship between the words. For example, let's take two sentences. You are good, and the next one is he is great. So here in frequency based word embedding, we don't have any technique to find the relationship, to find the semantic relationship between these two words. Okay. Now another example is orange and lemon. These both are citrus fruits, right? Now again, these have some common properties, but in frequency based word embedding techniques, we can't find any relationship between these two words on the basis of former one, that is frequency based word embedding technique. So to resolve all these problems, we can use word to vec algorithm. Now word to vec model. In this model, we have two neural network layers to generate word embeddings given a text corpus. Okay, now what are word embeddings? As I already described in my previous tutorial regarding word embedding, that word embedding are nothing but, we can say, coordinates of words in the vector space. Okay, now let's see an example. Suppose my coordinate of the word men in the vector space is like this, something something, and in the last, let's say 0.07. Now coordinate of the word women in the vector space, let's suppose 0.73, 0.89, 0.05. Now, how word2vec model find the relationship between the words? So basically, let's suppose we have to find this relationship. King minus men plus women equal to queen. Now, over here we require the vectors of king, the vectors of men, and the vector of women as well. Okay, vector of king, vector of men, and vector of women. Fine. Now, when we get the vector king vector, men vector, and women vector, so over here subtraction is happening. So from king vector, we will subtract the vector of the men, values of the vector of the men, and then we will add the values of the vector of the women. So we will get queen, the values of the vector of the queen. Okay. So like this is how we do, over here, this is how these calculations are being conducted. Now this relationship, as you can see, this relationship like vector of king minus vector of men plus vector of women will give you the vector of queen. This relationship is being preserved by word2vec by iterating through a large corpus of text like Wikipedia, etc., like that huge much, that large text corpus. So let's take another example. Let's take two sentences. The kid said, He would grow up to be a Superman. And another sentence is the child said the same sentence, just kid and child. Instead of kid, child is there. He would grow up to be a Superman. Fine. Now over there, the words kid and child will have similar word vectors due to their similar context. As you can see, the sentences are exactly same, right? Just words are different over here, kid and child. Fine. Now, when word-to-vec model will iterate through a large corpus, let's say Wikipedia text, then it will find that the word child and the kid are replaceable with each other because of their similar context, and thus word2vec will thrive to create similar embeddings for them. That means when the word2vec model will iterate through a large corpus, it will find that these two words are replaceable. They can be used in place of each other. Okay, so the word2vec model will thrive to, we can say, will create the similar word embedding for these both of them. Okay, fine. Now, how does word2vec model generate vectors for words? So for that, there are two algorithms, COBOL and skipgram. Now, what is COBOL? Continuous bag of words. Fine. Now, what happens in the COBOL? It is known as continuous bag of words. Okay. Now, over here, we predict the target word from the context. Okay, let's take the example. The quick, sorry, the quick brown fox, and this is empty one. Okay. Over the lazy dog. So, over there, this COBOL algorithm will predict this word. Okay, and that word will be jumps. That means in COBOL model, with the help of COBOL model, we predict the target word from the context words. While in skipgram model, what happens with the help of this? Okay, with the we predict the context word with the help of target word. Let's say this is my word jumps, and we have to predict all these words. Those words are the quick brown fox, then over the lazy and dog. Fine. Okay, so I think the basic difference between these two algorithms is clear. Now let's see the working of COBOL model. Okay, now to see the detailed working of this COBOL model, let's take a smaller example. Why I'm taking the smaller example? Because the English language has 30 millions of words. That is quite large. Now we will consider a language. Let's suppose we have a language which consists of only 5 words. Okay. Which is consist of only 5 words. So what are those words? Can, free, hope, set, you. Okay. Now we initially generate one hot vector for each word. For simplicity, let's assume our corpus has just one sentence. Suppose our corpus has just one sentence. That sentence is hope can set you free. Okay. And let's take a window size. So over here, I'm taking the window size 3. Since I have only the 5 words, so I'm taking it very less. And we have to predict the, we can say what we have to predict. We have to predict the target word. Okay. Now this will be my first window size. Okay, so we have to predict the can over here. Now the next set will be this one, so we have to predict the set over here. In the next one we have to predict the set. Okay, now in this one we have to predict the u. Okay, okay, now let's see over here. See, this we already covered. Okay, now let's see by that example that we were doing. So now you can see over here we have one hot vector for the hope. Okay, we have 5 words over here. Okay, so this one will become 1 and other will become 0. Why? Because this is the one hot vector for the hope. Similarly, since we are just taking for it right now, now for the set, for this is for the set. Okay, so this will become 1 and all else will become 0. Fine. Now we will over here, what will happen? With the help of these two one hot vectors, there is a hidden layer. Okay, and after certain mathematical calculation and updation of the weights and all, it over here it will predict us, it will give us the prediction. Okay, so with the help of the softmax function at the output, here we have the softmax function, we will get a, again we will get a, okay, vector, we can say, and that will contain the probabilities. Like the word which is, the target word will have the highest probability out of them. So target word will be that word which has the highest probability out of them. So in this case, which should have the highest probability? Can. So here it should be the highest probability in this cell. Okay, now this is our actual one hot vector for the can. This is our actual one hot vector for the can. Now on the basis of error between this predicted one and this actual one, weights will get updated. Okay, weights will get updated. Fine. Similarly, then now after that, this window will shift to the next set, and again the weights will get updated, and similarly the window will shift to the next set forward. So weights will get updated. Okay, fine. Okay. Now this is how this was the working of the continuous bag of words. Fine. Now let's see the skip gram. So what we discussed in the skip gram, we predict the context word on the basis of the target word that you can see and that I already explained to you. Okay. Now the same example, this one. Fine. Now over here, on the basis of the over here, what we do? We predict the context words, right? So again, we are taking the window of 3, you can say, or window of 1. See, window of 3 or 1. Why does this? If you're taking like one word around the target word, then you can say like this is window of 1, or few people call it window of 3. They consider it completely. Okay, so you can say anything, window of 3 or window of 1. Okay, now I'm saying it in the skip gram, I will say window of 1. Okay, that means one word at the right of the target word and one word at the left of the target word. Fine. Now this is my one hot vector for the can over there. So this is 1 and all other are 0. Okay, now this over there at this output layer, we will get the vector for the, we can say, the context word that we want to predict, and we will get the probabilities. Fine, we will get the probabilities because of the softmax function over here. Fine, now the probability for this cell should be highest, and here in this the probability for this cell should be highest. Fine, and probability live, it means 0 to 1. So like we might get 0 0.8, 0 0.6, 0.2, 0.7, like this we will get. Okay, over here we can get 0.9, 0.8, like this, or okay. Now actual one hot vector for the hope is this one. This is for hope and this is for set. Okay, now on the basis of it, there will be, if like this is not predicted well, then there will be certain error between prediction and the actual. So on the basis of that error, weights will get updated. Fine. Similarly, so skipgram model will this window will slide further. Okay, like this, and weights will get updated. So over here in both, on the basis of both, we can say in both COBOL and skipgram, we will get the updated, we can say the optimal updated weight matrix. Optimal updated weight matrix. Okay, now let's see how we will get the word embedding from that optimal updated word, we can say matrix that we will get after the training. So this was training. Why this was training? Because these are actual one hot vectors and these were predicted, and on the basis of the error between actual and the predicted, we will update that weight matrix and we will get the optimal weight matrix after this training is being done completely. Fine. Now, so suppose I'm copying my weight matrix from here. Okay, this is here already. Fine. Now, this is my, after training, this is my optimal weight matrix. Okay, and these are my one hot vectors for the hope, for the can, for the set, for you, and free. Now I want word embedding for, this is for hope. Okay, I want word embedding for the hope. So this is one hot vector for the hope, and this is my weight matrix. This is a optimal weight matrix that we got after the training of the skipgram model. Okay, and with the multiplication of this, we will get the word embedding vector for the hope. Okay, now how we are getting it? You can see 3 cross 5. This is, and here we have how many rows? 5 cross 1. So we will get, as you know, the multiplication of matrices, it will be 3 rows and 1 column. Okay, so if you multiply it, this, fine. So it will give you W00, then again W10 and W20. All else will become 0. Fine. This is how we will get the word embedding. So in real application, we train it over Wikipedia text, choosing window size around 5 to 10 and vector size 300. Now number of words in corpus is about 13 million. Okay, hence it takes huge resources to generate word embedding. To skip this process, we can go ahead with the pre-trained word vectors. Okay. Now, if let's suppose if we have a small corpus and we want the faster process, then we can choose the COBOL. And if we have large corpus and higher dimensions and like speed doesn't matter, then we can choose skipgram. Okay, and how we can increase the accuracy for it? We can increase the accuracy by increasing the training data set and by increasing the vector dimensions. Fine. Now let's see the mechanism behind Google's pre-trained word-to-vec model. Okay, so the training mechanism, and over here prediction mechanism. Now the sentence, let's take the example. The quick fox jumps over the lazy dog. Okay, this is our sentence, sample sentence. Now we will train our data on the basis of this sentence. So over here, let's suppose I have one hot vector for the, for the word the. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now here we have only 8 unique words, but in Google's pre-trained model, we had 10,000 words, unique words. Okay, so this length, the length of this one hot vector will be 10K. Fine. Now over here, let's suppose die is coming somewhere here. Fine. So here we will have these many neurons. Okay. How many neurons? 10K neurons. Okay. 10K neurons we will have. Now, this is our input layer. Okay. And at the hidden layer, we'll say 300 neurons. Why these 300 neurons? Because these are on the basis of, they took 300 features on the basis of some hyperparameter tuning. Okay. These are on the basis of 300 features they assumed on the basis of hyperparameter tuning. Now, so here we will get after these are neurons, so weights will get, there will be weights will be included. So the what is the matrix, what is the dimension of the weight matrix over here? The dimension of the weight matrix will be 10K cross 300, that is 10,000 cross 300. Okay, now over there again we will have 10K neurons. Okay, so here we will get again a weight matrix that will have 300 rows and 10K columns. Fine. Now on the basis of, we can say, we just took the example of this sentence, so let's assume it. On the basis of this sentence or those 10K words, these weights will increase, will get continuously. Okay, now after updation over here we will get a vector of probabilities because of softmax function. Okay, and we will have a one hot vector for, suppose over here I have the one hot vector for the word the. Okay, and the nearby word the quick I want to predict. So for the quick I have one hot vector over here. This is my actual one hot vector for quick. And this one is predicted, and this will have the probabilities, which will say like which will have the highest probability, like which is the nearby word near to the. Okay, so the highest probability will, the word which will have the highest probability will be most nearby according to the training model, according to the prediction. Okay, and on the basis of the error between the actual and the prediction, these weights will get updated continuously. Now what happens in the prediction mechanism over here? 1 cross 10,000, that means this is one hot vector. Now I want to predict for a word, let's suppose any word, let's say data. Okay, this is a word, for that I want to predict. Now this is my one hot vector for the data. So wherever I will have the data, there will be 1 and all else will be 0. Fine. Now this is going to the input layer. This is going to the input layer. Okay, now over here on the basis of this weight matrix, which has the dimension 10,000 cross 300. Okay, this one hot vector will get multiplied by this, and we will get, after output of the hidden layer, we will get 1 cross 300, that means this vector. Okay, which will be basically word embedding. For what? For data. Okay, now this word embedding will further go to the, we can say, this is this one. Now this will get again multiplied by this one, this matrix, which has the dimension 300 cross 10K. Okay, and over here at the output layer we have the softmax. Okay, so the output of this softmax will be probabilities. I'm writing it over here, probabilities. So the size will be, as you can see, 1 cross 10k. Okay, and it contains probabilities. So it will tell you what will be the nearby word to the data. Fine, this is how the um, you know this is the mechanism of Google's pre-trained model. Now let's see the problem with the Google's pre-trained model. Okay, this we already covered. Okay, model details, the architecture, and both the matrices I already explained on the sketchbook. How we will get the word embedding, that I already explained, and how the prediction mechanism will work. Okay, that also I already explained. Now problem with this model, with this word2vec model. Okay, first problem is size problem of the weight matrix. Because we have Google's pre-trained model used 13 millions of word, or you can say 10,000 words. Okay, unique words, which had the 10,000 of unique words, so the size will be huge. So processing speed will be low and high memory consumption. So this will get this can be resolved by subsampling. Fine. Now the next problem is negative impact of frequent words in the model, and that can be resolved with the what are frequent word, most frequent word, like which are getting repeated frequently. Okay, so there are certain negative impact of those most frequent words, and that can be resolved with the help of negative sampling. Fine. Now let's see what is subsampling and what is negative sampling. So what happens in the subsampling? See, suppose let's suppose my sentence is, okay, the sentence was, the quick fox jumps over the lazy dog. Now, suppose my window size is 2, and this is my target word for the first set. Okay, window size 2 means 2 at the right of that target word and 2 at the left of that target word. Okay, now the next window size will be this one. Okay, now the next window size will be this one. Now let's increase the window size. It is 5. Now there's no repetition of words in the window size. So now let's increase this. Let's make it 5 to 2 to 3. Okay, let's make it 3. So if I make it 3, then what will happen? Okay, so if I make it 3, then this will be my center word, and yeah, so die is coming twice. Can you see? Die is coming twice. So in subsampling, we just remove one you can say instance of the repeating words. Now over here we will get the samples. If you remember, I told you, like jump along with jump we can get jump fox, then jump quick, jumps the, similarly jumps over, then jumps the, and jumps lazy. Fine. Now you can see these two are getting repeated. Okay, now if I remove just one instance, okay, so I will just, you can see just it is left with one, and this is just the one combination that is left with, otherwise this will get repeated over here. Fine. So this is known as subsampling, removing the repeated words from the window itself. Okay, now let's see the negative sampling. Okay, now what is negative sampling? In negative sampling, as you can see, uh, over here we just update the weights for the small percentage of we can say words only, and those words we can identify from the we can say the most frequent words that are coming into the data. Okay, and that is selected with the basis of unigram distribution. Fine. So in negative sampling, Each training sample only modify a small percentage of the weights rather than the complete weight table. Okay. And how we select the word as a negative sample? On the basis of its frequency. Higher the frequency, more the chances of being selected at the negative sample. And this is done on the basis of unigram sampling. Okay. Now let's moving forward to the coding part of it. So over here we are training our own word2vec model. So this is my list of tokenized sentences. Okay. Now these are some imports that we have to do. Now I'm creating the object of the word2vec model. Okay, and I'm passing these tokenized sentences inside it with the minimum count equal to 1. Now, as you can see, when I'm printing this object, I'm getting vocab equal to 23. That means 23 unique words, and the vector size is 100. That means 100 coordinates. Okay, 100 coordinates of each words in the vector space. Fine. Now, I want to see all the words from here, all the unique words from here. Okay, so I will call this key to index function. Fine, and this will give me all the unique words over here. Now I want to see all the coordinates. I want to see the coordinates of the word welcome. Fine, so you can simply just write wv and then with the help of the model object. Okay, and you can pass the word inside it, so you will get all the coordinates. And if you remember, the size, the vector size was 100. That means these will be 100 coordinates in number. Okay, now we can find the most similar words over here, most similar to the word welcome, words which are most similar to the welcome. So I'm getting hi, then techniques, then will, then word, as you can see. Fine, the similarity fraction. Okay, now I'm just plotting these words that we got over here, these unique words. Okay, with the help of this function. So first I'm doing these imports, and after that I will call this function over here tsne underscore plot, and it will give me the plot visualization of all those words. Fine. Now how to use the Google's pre-trained word2vec model. So first we have to do all these imports. Okay, after that we have to download this data. Okay, then with the help of this load word2vec format function and this object, we can load this data. Okay, and then with the help of this object that we created over here, I want to see the most similar words related to the word data. So it is giving me the list of tuples, and tuple contain the word and the similarity fraction, as you can see. Okay, now I want to see the similarity between two words, so you can just pass those two words inside the similarity function with the help of the model object. So this is my model object. Okay, and I'm passing two words inside it. So between France and Spain, 63% similarity, king and queen 65% similarity, and apple and fruit 64% similarity. Now let's see one of the application of word embedding, example of one of the application of word embedding, that is sentence classification using Keras embedding. So first of all, we have to complete certain imports. Okay, now I'm passing the list of strings, list of sentences in the format of strings. Okay, now from the collection, I'm importing the counter, and why I'm putting the counter, I want to see the frequency of words. Okay, so as you can see, first I will join all these strings. Okay, and then I will split them. So I will get, with the help of this counter function, I will get the counts of these words. Now what is my main aim over here? These are, you can say, how, what, and why kind of, how, what, why, where kind of sentences, and these are my, you can say, normal sentences. Okay, so these will belong to one category and these will belong to another category. So this is my training data. So the labels I'm giving them to them, I'm to these sentences I'm giving the 111. Okay, because these are of one category and these are of another category, I'm giving them 0, 0, 0. So you can see Sant labels array 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0. Now over there I'm just with the help of my this line of code, we can get the my vocab size, or we can directly pass anything. So just I'm passing for the convenient side, I'm passing 30 inside it. Okay. Now with the one hot function, okay, I will get the one hot encoded I will get the one hot encoding for all those words over here. Fine. So as you can see, in the first sentence I have 3 words, then in the second sentence I have 4 words, then in the third sentence I have 4 words. So these are my encodings. 3, this is for first, this is for second, and this is for third. Similarly for fourth, for fifth, and for sixth. Okay. Now, since these are unequal, as you can see, these codes are unequal, so we want to make them equal. So I am applying the padding. So with the help of pad sequences function, I am passing these encoded sentence inside them, and max length equal to length. So we can pass this we can write this length, we can pass this length with the help of this code as well inside this max length parameter. Or you can just, for the safer side, you can take 5, because we have just these, as you can see, these many sentences only. Okay, and the highest number of words are, I guess, 4. Yeah, over here, and over here. All other are 3. Okay, so over there you can see I am writing padding equal to pre. So that padding is applying at the starting of the codes. Okay, to make them equal in length. Fine. Now let's create the classification model over here. So over there I'm using the sequential function. Okay, now I'm creating its object, my model, with the name of my model, and I'm adding 3 layers. First of all, embedding layer, in which I'm passing the my vocab size. Okay, and then 8 and input length equal to max length. Fine. Now this will flatten, this will just it will okay, just look at over here, 5 cross 8, so it will be 40. So in the flatten, it will, all the 40 elements will become in the one array, single array. And in the dense, so this will be my, we can say, input. Embedding is being done over here, then this is simple flattening process, and then this is my output process. Okay, with the help of sigmoid activation function, we will get the probabilities over here. Now so this is, I guess this is clear to you. Okay, so let's come to the model training. Fine. Now in the model training, as you can see, I'm just using the fit function. Okay, and we are fitting the model. So I'm writing the padded, I'm passing the padded sentences. The padded sentences is this one. Okay, the output of this one. Fine, that means these encoded. Okay, now Sant labels is over here, as you can see. Fine. Now epochs, I'm writing 30, that means 30 epochs I want, 30 iteration. Okay, now over here, evaluation part. So model loss and model accuracy, 2 variables in which this evaluate function will give us two values, that is, one will be the loss and one will be the accuracy. Fine. Now after each iteration, you can see over here, loss is decreasing gradually. Okay, and till this accuracy was 0.833, then accuracy shoot up to the 1.0. Fine, and the loss is decreasing. Okay, so after 30 epochs, you can see the accuracy 100%. Fine. See, since our data was very less, okay, so that's why accuracy is coming 100%. But if you have huge data, then this accuracy will be less, as as this is 100%, that might be 75% or 80%, 82%. Fine. Now let's come to the prediction part. So over here I'm passing 2 strings. Okay, I'm writing 2 strings, and this list, my send to predict. Okay, this list contain these 2 strings. Now again my vocab size is 30, and then this again the same pre-processing we are doing over here as we did the one hot encoders. We find it. Okay, this will give us the integers for, as you can see now, how many words are there? 7, right? And we have 7 integers over here for these words. And how many words are there? 3 words. So we have 3 integers over here. Fine. Now over here you can see I'm just since this is 7 numbers, this is 7 numbers and this is 3 numbers, so they are unequal. To make them equal, I am applying the padding sequence function. Okay, that will apply the padding to it, and I'm writing pre over here, again the same part as we did in the training. Okay, so it will over there we had, yeah, we have to run it again, just give me a second. Fine. Okay, now this applied maximum length 5. Okay, let's make it 7. Fine. Okay, since maximum length was 7, so that's why the integers that were coming over here were 5. Now I made it 7, so they're coming 7 in numbers. Okay, so how many zeros added in the second this list of integers for this sentence? 4 zeros were added. Okay, now with the help of predict classes function, we are predicting. Okay, so over here you can see for the first sentence, this is starting with what? That's why its category belong to 1. And this is the second sentence is starting with, this is normal sentence, so that's why the category for it is 0. Fine. So I hope guys this was clear to you. Okay, we'll meet in the next tutorial. I tried my best to make you explain all these concepts of word embeddings. Okay, thanks for listening to me.